Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Gherna, and today I'm going to introduce you to a concept called concept plans. Um, it is an idea that has been given to me through the Kodai program that I attended over this last couple of summers, and it has made things a complete breeze for me. First and foremost, you need to understand that this is not a lesson plan. What you are doing is you are trying to decide what skills and information that you are going to be implementing throughout your unit that you're planning. Areas that you need to do to cover in this is that you need to decide what you are wanting to teach it for your unit. Do you want to do single eighth notes? Do you want to talk about steady beat? Have at least 4 to 6 songs or games or activities to use, and you probably won't use them all. And then decide how are you going to implement those throughout your learning process. So you may have several plans or several lesson plans that you might have within one concept plan. For example, here is an example that I have for the Tika Tika. I could possibly use the song Tidy-O, and here it kind of gives you a little idea of the activities that I might do. Introduce the Tika Tika story. Show a picture example of how they got their legs. It's all part of the story. Teach a song visually, orally, physically. Tell the history of the song. What does it mean? Why are we doing this folk song? Make sure that we always add the solfege and other kincinetics that you want to have in there. And then always go back to playing the game. I have an example to show you for the concept plan template. And I can pull this up right here. Here you will see that I have areas where I can put my song, my target pattern. Am I trying to do the Tika Tika, or am I trying to do the Tea Tika or the Tika Tea? We can also add art music. Do you want to show an example of how that's used in classical music, in everyday music? One of the great things is to get things that the kids know, bring it back to them and say, hey, here's what this is. Let me show you where it's at in this music. Of course, put your keywords in there, put your resources, your literature. It doesn't matter how old a kid gets, they love to be read to. Don't hesitate to read them a book. Then right down here, you can see my preparation. How am I introducing it kinesthetically, orally, visually? Am I putting other critical thinking in there? Am I adding some history that my other teachers might be going or talking about right now? Storytelling. When you're presenting and you've already given them the idea of the Tika Tika and you're telling them you're adding their legs, because that's what we do when we're telling them that story. Here you can go back to showing them how you did that. Another thing for practicing, you can read, you can write, you can improvise. Kids love to improvise. Put them up there on that screen and ask them to do some things. They'd be shocked at everything that they're observing from you. Listen to the ideas that they have. All right. And then what kind of physical, oral, visual activities do you want to reinforce the concept? Because when you're introducing something like this, you need to think, how am I going to be using this in other lessons? You can use the song Tidy-O for many things. You can go from steady beat all the way up to Tika Tika and reading rhythms with that song. And then let me give you an example of what it looks like all together. Here's an example of the Tea Tika or the Tika Tea concept plan that I have created. And this is not all my own work. This is something that I did within the Kodai class over the summer. Here are several examples of songs that you can use. You've got a car, Hey Betty Martin, Freddie Oka, and so on. Here you see where the target patterns are. Here we've added the sources of where we can get to those information. One of the great things that we've been able to do is say, hey, I've got all these things that I have on my drive or somewhere. I can click that now and say, here's everything that I have for this information. The art music. A great example to use is the Rodeo Hoedown by Aaron Copland. There's so many different instrumental rhythm activities in that. And you can come back to it several times. Here we've used it as an example for the tika T, tika T, tika T, tika T. Keywords, of course, are there. You have your resources where I've found this information. Here are some stories that I can use for this concept. Preparation. Here is everything I could possibly need for all of those songs. Everything that I could need to do for all of that. Because if I was to come here and say, hey, here's all this stuff, what do? I need to figure out which ones I can use. I have multiple things to choose from. The presentation, if you need to write it all out, write it all out. It lets you know exactly what you need to say to these kids to introduce the right information. And of course, then we get to our practicing, our improvisation, and our assessment at the end. Thank you. If you have any other questions, you can always send me an email. I teach 5th general music and 6th grade choir at North Park Elementary in Guyman Public Schools.